Payne Stewart was much more than just a professional golfer. He was active and generous in Central Florida, giving away hundreds of thousands of dollars and always having a friendly word for everyone. Tonight, friends and fans are saddened. News Channel 2's Gail Pascal-Brown continues our team coverage now with a look at what the community has lost. Gail?
We're just outside the Stewart's estate, and we have seen some friends come and go. I've talked to some neighbors who say they are obviously deeply saddened by what has happened. They can't believe what has happened. The community that knows Payne Stewart says he is a charismatic man, that he was very well liked by all of his peers, be it Team Orlando or Team PGA for that matter. I also spoke with a minister of the church where the Stewarts attend, and that assistant pastor told me that Payne Stewart was very dedicated, both in his faith and in his community. Just 2 weeks ago, Orlando Mayor Glenda Hood gave premier golfer Payne Stewart the key to the city. Payne became the 52nd recipient in almost 20 years.
So these are only given to very special individuals.
Those who knew him will tell you Stewart was just that, someone who gave so much, not just to golf, but to his community as well. First Baptist Church of Orlando honored him that same night with a legacy award for winning the U.S. Open, but also for opening his heart and donating to the church school's athletic needs.
The donation was $500,000, most of which I think will go for a softball field. His daughter Chelsea is an avid softball player, even as an 8th grader is one of our top softball players.
His son Aaron also attends the school. Smith says Stewart's children and their association with the church school brought about a renewal in Stewart's faith.
Oftentimes that celebrities will give the Lord or God credit for things in their lives, and a lot of times that doesn't always seem genuine, but just in the little bit of time I was able to spend with Payne and those others who have been close to him say that with Payne it really was genuine.
It's not that hard to really give something back. And like I said, I've been blessed with an ability. I think God chose me to play golf.
We're just going to miss him as a person. We're going to miss his smiling face and his great wit, and it's just going to be tough to know that we won't see him again.
Just recently, Steve Smith was laughing and sharing with Payne Stewart during that great event. But now he says they'll have to remember his spirit, his wit, which will always shine brightly. Some who regarded Payne Stewart as a practitioner of joy, which was evident in this recent video, golfers can't jump.
I could be the shot doctor if they needed somebody. The shot doctor, right here.
For those who knew Payne Stewart, they say charisma is synonymous with him, someone who was always out and about in his community, helping when he can.
We can make a difference, and it's not that hard to just give a little bit back.
Something we all can benefit from, that's for sure. And tonight, the church family wants you to know, send all of your prayers out, not just to the Stewart family, but all of the victims, the families that have been affected by this tragedy. Reporting live in Orange County, I'm Gail Pascal-Brown. Now back to you.
Stewart and his family were active in their church in Orlando, and yesterday as the tragedy unfolded, church leaders met with Stewart's family to offer comfort and consolation. Reverend Jim Henry is the senior pastor of the First Baptist Church of Orlando. Reverend J.B. Collingsworth is the pastor of the young married adults age group, which Stewart and his wife attended. Both men are live this morning in Orlando. We appreciate your time this morning. First to Reverend Collingsworth, his wife, 2 young children left behind. How are they doing at this time?
They're doing as well as can be in a situation like this, really drawing strength from the Lord first, and from family and friends that are all gathered around them, and they've had lots of support.
Yeah, you knew Payne Stewart. What should we know about him and learn about him?
Payne was a regular guy. He was a guy that had a heart for people. He loved people. He really had a capacity for giving and doing and being there, and he was a funny guy, a guy that brought a lot of laughter to a lot of lives, and we've reflected on that in the past hours a whole lot. He really cared about his fellow man.
Reverend Henry, Payne Stewart recently gave your church $500,000. How will that money be used at your church?
Well, Payne has a daughter who is active in our Christian school, and she plays first base, is a good athlete, and he wanted part of that to go for some new softball fields. And then we have an athletic complex, and he wanted the rest of that money to go towards building a football field and some track lanes and the rest of that complex. So this was really on his heart, and he not only gave $500,000, but he was helping raise some more.
Wow. We've talked a lot in the mid-90s about Payne Stewart hitting this sort of rebirth, not only religiously, but also on the course, on the golf course as well. Can you talk a little bit about how that came about?
Okay, I think JB has had more close contact with him, so I'd like for JB to take
Reverend
that
Collingsworth, could you give us more a personal note on how that came about in the middle part of this decade?
Payne, I think, realized that, just like all of us do, that we can't do it by ourselves, and he came to realize that family and all was very important. Not that he didn't before, but in my talks with him, he had a desire for something to be different in his life, and his acceptance of Christ was a beginning of a lot of great things for his life, because anybody that knows him and has been around him in the last few years can tell you they saw visually the change in his heart and how he became so focused on not only his family and friends, but most of all on the Lord and his golf game. I mean, it's tremendous. I sent him a note the other day after a tournament. You know, I said, you know, you've had the best year you've ever had. This has probably been one of the greatest years of your life, and it's due to what God did in his life, I firmly believe.
Reverend Henry, in the short time we have left, can you tell us about funeral arrangements at this time?
They're not quite complete. It'll either be Friday morning or Saturday. Right now it's probably leaning towards Friday morning at our church at First Baptist in Orlando.
Reverend J.B. Collingsworth, Reverend Jim Henry, live this morning in Orlando. Thank you both, gentlemen, for being with us today.
Glad to join.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate it. Stay with CNN for more on this developing story.
Now to Orlando, Florida, where today they're getting ready for a memorial service to honor the memory of pro golfer Payne Stewart. And my partner, CNN's Leon Harris, is there, and he joins us live. Good morning, Leon.
Good morning, Carol. Good morning, folks, from the lawn of the First Baptist Church of Orlando, where in about 4 hours the city will be saying goodbye to its world-famous resident, Payne Stewart. But the scene here is going to have to go a long way to rival the poignancy of the scene yesterday in Houston, as players and fans alike at the golf course there, where the Tour Championship was being held, said goodbye to Payne Stewart in a very special way on the first tee there, the scene of a solitary bagpiper in the fog there in Houston, bringing many to tears there. We'll probably see much of the same here in Orlando later on this morning. The city, as I said, will be saying goodbye to Payne Stewart here at the church in about 4 hours, and we're joined now by Assistant Pastor Steve Smith, who's going to be here at the service, and we thank you for coming out and talking to us this morning, what's got to be a difficult morning for you and your parishioners today.
It is. It's a very somber time. It's been a very busy week, but at the same time, we're very saddened by this event and trying to keep things in perspective.
Have you been able to talk to the family at all, Tracy Stewart and Chelsea, her daughter, and Aaron, her son?
I personally haven't, but our senior pastor, Jim Henry, and a couple of our other pastors made their way to their home immediately after we heard of the incident on Monday and spent several hours with them and have been spending time with them all week.
Are they holding up well? Do you know?
My understanding is that they're doing very well. They're a strong family and have great faith, so we're confident that they're going to get through it.
What do you make of the timing of this? You could never really look forward to something tragic like this happening in a person's life, but Payne Stewart really seemed to have gotten his life together, if you will, in the last 6 months in a very special way.
Well, we believe that God's will is sovereign, and I don't know that it's necessarily ironic that it has been in recent months and years, perhaps, that Payne's faith has been renewed, and as well as those of the other men on the plane. So we glory in the fact that Payne has unashamedly in recent weeks proclaimed his faith in Christ.
He also put his money where his mouth was, too. I understand he made a big donation here.
Absolutely. He contributed $500,000 to our First Orlando Foundation to help us advance our athletic complex for our Christian school, the First Academy.
Do you have a special memory of your own of Payne Stewart?
Well, I had the privilege of emceeing a banquet that we had in his honor just 2 weeks ago, not only for winning the U.S. Open this year, but just in gratitude for his contribution. And he just had a great wit. I mean, he just was always smiling, always cracking a joke, and he's going to be greatly missed.
And those are the kind of memories that I'm sure that he'll want you all to have of him.
Absolutely.
All right, Assistant Pastor Steve Smith, we thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.
Morning. We'll talk to you later on throughout the day, I'm sure. And we will have coverage throughout the day of their ceremony, but for now, reporting live from Orlando, Leon Harris. Back to you, Carol.
Leon, a quick question for you. Do you know what's on the program today for the memorial service?
Matter of fact, we just got handed to us just moments ago. If you can zoom in for a quick second, you can see this program we just had delivered to us. And a bit of a surprise in this program. We find that we will be hearing for the first time from Tracy Stewart. She's actually going to be speaking today, and many people that I've talked to in the last 3 days, I spent quite a bit of time with the PGA Tour officials and some of the players as well, and they've all been wondering how she's going to hold up. Well, we'll find out this morning when she speaks.
All right, thank you very much, Leon. We'll see you a little bit later.
Good morning. In just a few minutes, Central Florida will say goodbye to one of its favorite sons. Professional golfer Payne Stewart, as you know, died Monday, along with 5 other people in a mysterious plane crash.
Several thousand mourners are filing into the First Baptist Church Orlando right now to pay their last respects. Among the crowd, PGA Tour golfers who flew in from tournaments in Texas and Mississippi this morning.
Our coverage team will bring you this special tribute from inside and outside the church.
Channel 9's Greg Warmoth leads off our coverage with a look at those who came to pay their respects to Payne Stewart and his family. Greg?
Well, Vanessa and Todd, obviously a very tough day for the folks who knew Payne Stewart best, and really everyone on the PGA Tour feels like a part of this family, the extended family. You're looking live now at his wife, Tracy, Chelsea to her right, and son Aaron to the left. Chelsea will be 14 on the 13th of November. Aaron is 10. He was the young man who inspired Payne really to find Christianity, and he is the one that the family is pointing to as someone who really got his dad on the right track. He gave his father the WWJD bracelet that he wore. He wore that in the U.S. Open. On Father's Day, won the U.S. Open. And folks here say that Payne Stewart now, this is not a moment of sadness, but a moment of celebration for someone whose life is now continuing on in heaven. This is called a final celebration. There will be many speakers, including the wife of Payne Stewart. Tracy will speak for the first time publicly since his passing. It is going to be certainly a very touching moment. It's being called Payne as husband and father. His loving companion, Tracy Stewart, will step to the microphone and say a few words about her husband. Also on hand, a videotape presented by Vince Gill, the Nashville recording artist, the country music artist who wrote and recorded a song this week in Payne's honor, Hey God, a tribute to Payne. Will now join the service here at the First Baptist Church of Orlando.
Okay, that was his wife Tracy. They had been together for 18 years. It was love at first sight. She was so strong, as we've seen these wives been over the last couple of days, and his children so strong to sit there, so adult and so mature to sit there. And I know I spent a lot of time crying and throughout that service, and you know how tough it had to be for them, but I think they knew that they had a responsibility today, and they did it.
Absolutely, and once again, the support of all the friends, family members, and the PGA Tour members here just speaks volumes to the legacy that Payne Stewart left behind, and you could definitely see how they were moved. And one of the things that moved people quite a bit were the 2 very powerful songs performed by Michael W. Smith, and I think that really set the tone or carried the tone throughout the service, ending up with Pastor Jim Henry delivering some very powerful words towards the end of the ceremony.
And also giving out, if you can grab that for me, that bracelet, excuse me.
I'm sorry.
What would Jesus do? And that was a bracelet that his son Aaron, Payne Stewart's son Aaron, gave to him, and he wore all the time. And they passed these out today in the church. They came out to the media and they gave each of us one as well, and I think a lot of folks will be wearing them for a good long time. And we talked about what would Jesus do in a time like this. This was not a loss, but they told us today that Payne Stewart's death, as strange as it may seem, it was a gain, because we had him and Van Arden and Fraley for as long as we did.
Their memories will live on. We're going to go back to the studio now to Jacqueline in London. Of course, we'll be coming back to you as we continue to wrap up this memorial service for the late Payne Stewart, dead at age 42 in that tragic plane crash. But if you've watched our coverage, you see that his memory and spirit will certainly live on.
And we'll see you in just a few moments. Jacqueline, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Ryan and Leslie. A very moving service in the celebration of life. Our team coverage continues now in Sky 6. Craig Eicher joins us live. Craig, what is the vantage point where you are?
Well, from up here, we have been seeing a remarkably well-organized ingress and egress to the First Baptist Church here in Orlando. I think that they know how to handle large crowds, especially like these. But you might notice something different outside the church today that you wouldn't see normally here at this church. A large number of television trucks from all over. We understand that every major network has been represented here, from the Golf Channel to NBC, ABC, CBS, of course. There, of course, is the cadre of reporters and photographers waiting at the main entrance for the Stewart family and members of the PGA Tour to leave. They were walking in earlier today, and of course we saw Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus and all the big names arriving. From up here, we also could see at, for instance, Dubsdread Golf Course, the city-owned golf course here in Orlando, the flags flying at half-staff, and we know that they observed a moment of silence there. This church is a very well-known beacon on the horizon to a lot of people in the spiritual community here in Central Florida, and a lot of them have come here to see this memorial service, which I think will probably go down as one of the most memorable memorial services in the area. But right now, there is no traffic problem in and around the area. So for now, in Sky 6, I'm Craig Eicher. Back to you.
Okay, Craig, thank you.